Hello there folks, my name is Spooks and welcome back to another episode of Box Office Chat. This is a show to break down the top 5 domestic box office results, see where each movie landed, and see how well each movie did. So let's get started. Number 5 was Marty Supreme, making $5.4 million this weekend, bringing its domestic total to $79 million and its worldwide total to $92 million. Marty Supreme is back in the top 5. This was a nice little surprise. I think this was in part due to its award season, really racking up the nominations and certainly a couple of awards at the Critics' Choice and the Golden Globe Awards. I think that really boosted some interest, people wanting to see why it won these awards, but also, just the word of mouth and reception for it thus far. Sure, it was out of the top 5 last week, but it was still holding well, and the movie still seems to be resonating with a lot of people. The fact that it was able to not only jump back into the top 5 but also do better than the more recent films this year, Primate and Greenland 2, is pretty respectable, and as a result it is now officially A24's biggest movie ever. It has surpassed the entire theatrical run of Everything Everywhere All at Once, domestically speaking. So, and it's on its way to 100 million worldwide as it's starting its international rollout. It doesn't seem to be as big as domestically. This is either just not as much interest internationally or just a slower rollout, but hey, I'd still call this a win considering the type of movie. I remember back when it originally came out, there wasn't a lot of hope that it would get to where it is right now, a lot of skepticism, but hey, Tim Cham proved everyone wrong, and the movie proved everyone wrong. It's still going strong. It is still bringing people to the theater, and it's certainly not going to stop racking up awards. Yeah, a really solid weekend for Marty Supreme. Number 4 was The Housemaid, making $8.5 million this weekend, bringing its domestic total to $107 million and its worldwide total to $245 million. The Housemaid continues to be an unstoppable force. My goodness, the fact that it stuck around this long in the top 5 is really impressive, and have racked up these numbers is still fascinating to me. Again, it's about to cross 250 million worldwide. There's a shot it could get to 300 million worldwide. That is absolutely remarkable. These were the numbers I was expecting David or SpongeBob to get to by this point, but no, it's The Housemaid. Again, this movie is really the talk of the town. People can't get enough of this thing. The word of mouth has just gone so well, so strong for so long. It has just absolutely, become the movie of the moment for a lot of people, and people are still eating it up. It shows no signs of slowing down, man. I really can't see or tell when we're gonna see this movie lose momentum, because it's just showing no signs of stopping, and I'm happy for it. But yeah, still really impressive how long it's stuck around in the top 5. Number 3 was Zootopia 2, making $9.2 million this weekend. Its domestic total stands at $390 million and its worldwide total stands at $1.7 billion. The other unstoppable force at the box office right now is Zootopia 2, and even more impressive hold this weekend than even The Housemaid. This movie only fell 9% from last weekend. That is absolutely incredible. Again, I think this is in part due to it being MLK weekend. Kids are out of school for an extra day, so more families are able to go out to the movies. But again, even if so, again, this movie's been out since late November and we are in the middle of January, and this movie is still going strong. It is just $10 million away from surpassing Frozen's entire domestic run. That is astonishing. I even think it's got a shot at taking the crown away from Minecraft, at least domestically, and worldwide it has reached quite the achievement. It is now Disney's biggest animated film ever. It surpassed the 2019 Lion King and Inside Out 2. It is now the second biggest animated film of all time, obviously sitting behind Naruto 2, and now the question remains, does it get to $2 billion worldwide? It's not out of the realm of possibility. It's really close, but I also believe it's also so far. It's such a big milestone and a big number. I don't want to jump the gun on saying, well, it's still got the momentum and it's still got the scene, but I wouldn't be surprised if it just barely misses it, because again, you never know. But hey, the movie's going so well. It's done so well. It's going strong still right now. And again, no other animated competition. The other two animated movies didn't damage this movie, so what's stopping it from reaching that milestone now? Again, don't want to jump the gun, but hey, it's not like it's out of the possibility. So yeah, again, still really spectacular numbers for Zootopia 2. Again, just an unstoppable force. Number 2 was 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple, opening with $13 million this weekend domestically and $29 million worldwide. Obviously, this is the biggest opening of the year thus far, topping Primate and Greenland 2, and it's the second biggest opening in the 28 something later franchise, topping 28 weeks, 28 days, but still sitting behind 28 years later. I had a lot of optimism about this film's performance. It's like the first big new wide release of the year. It's the sequel to a pretty beloved horror franchise. Avatar's slowing down. It's sure to be the one that takes it down, and it didn't, surprisingly. I think this is mostly due to just the mixed reception that first one got. While it wasn't horrible or anything, a lot of people weren't as satisfied as they would hoped it would be with that movie. I've heard a lot of things about the ending especially, and so I guess the hype and anticipation for this really soured after that, and with it so soon after the first one, I guess people weren't as on board to go and see it. I guess more people just needed some more time to digest it before going to see a new one. And unfortunately, unlike something like Primate, which has a horror movie budget, this has a really big budget for something like this. This is a $63 million movie. Worldwide, it doesn't look like a bad start, but even if so, still a hefty price for a movie. Definitely a big step down from where 28 Years Later was at the start of its theatrical run. Yeah, things are looking pretty concerning for this movie. However, there is a bit of a silver lining, and that is the reception the movie got. People seem to be really digging and enjoying this movie, actually. Critics really liked it. It was at 94% last I checked on Rotten Tomatoes, and audiences loved this even more than the last one. It got an A- on CinemaScore, puts it on par with Weapons in terms of recent horror films, and is definitely leagues above 28 Years Later, which got a B. So audience response has been really, really positive. People seem to be really digging this. So best case scenario, because of how lackluster the box office is right now, is that this prevails through word of mouth, through just how much people are enjoying it and encouraging it. Maybe this becomes a sleeper hit and turns itself around because of that, but even if so, it's gonna need all the help it can get, again, because of that hefty price tag the movie carries. Hopefully it can do that. Again, the word of mouth is a good indication of things to come, but it's still gonna need a lot of help if it needs to get to where it needs to. And finally, let's end the video off with the number 1 movie of the weekend, which was, for the 5th week in a row, Avatar: Fire and Ash, making $14 million this weekend, bringing its domestic total to $364 million and its worldwide total to $1.3 billion. Looks like I did the fool's errand. I underestimated Avatar. I thought 28 Years Later would be the one to finally dethrone it. I thought, well, this is the end of its rule over the box office, but hey, you live and learn, even though I berated people about living and learning with Avatar during Christmas. But I digress. The movie's still going strong. It's still holding relatively well, but I think it's clear that the movie's not meeting the expectations they were hoping for. Honestly, it looks like Zootopia really stole this movie's thunder in terms of raking in the strong box office numbers. As recently, James Cameron did like an interview, and he was talking about how, like, for the next Avatar movie, they're gonna have to find a way to like scale back on the budgets. And I think that was just like maybe not an admission, but like something to where, like, yeah, we know the last one wasn't as successful as the other ones. We're gonna have to find a way to like make these movies a bit more, I guess, affordable so that they can be a bit more profitable. Because again, while this movie is still doing leagues and bounds amongst other movies, it's still going to be one of the biggest movies of the year. 1.5 billion is in the bag. It is still far away from where this franchise has soared. And considering that, again, I think they're pretty much saying that they're going to scale back a bit on the costs and the budget for this thing again, because it's clear that these movies are not guaranteed $2 billion movies every couple years or so. The last one really, there was just so much working for it. This one, there's a lot working for it, yes, but again, it's just, there was just more working for that last one that benefited it more than this one. Still hugely successful, still gonna make a ton of money, and hey, it's probably gonna continue ruling over the box office given how lackluster the rest of the month is looking, but still far away from where this franchise has soared. And those were your top 5 domestic box office results for this weekend, but we're not quite done yet as we've got another week ahead of us and new movies hitting theaters. And this weekend's big new wide release is Mercy. It stars Chris Pratt, who was a former officer who has been framed for the murder of his wife, so he has 90 minutes to prove his innocence in front of a judge who is powered by artificial intelligence. Honestly, it has a pretty solid premise and it's pretty current for like today's political climate. It sounds like a pretty cool movie. Unfortunately, I think the execution of it is what really hurt it, as I have not seen a lot of buzz or hype for this movie. The trailer dropped and it did not impress a lot of people. I saw a lot of comparisons to the recent War of the Worlds movie, and that is not what you want to be compared to. And the marketing as well has not been the best. I've seen a couple promos here and there, but nothing really got the word out. I don't know too many people who have really gotten the urge or the excitement to see this movie, or I don't even know a lot of people who have even heard of this movie, if I'm being honest with you. I'm not expecting much. Maybe, because it's the new action movie, maybe because Chris Pratt is the lead, it'll get some people to see it, and the box office numbers are so low that maybe it'll challenge Avatar, but I don't have much expectations for this. I don't think this is going to do all that great. But we'll see how well this movie truly does, as well as the rest of the movies that land in the top 5 on the next Box Office Chat. And that's going to do it for this week's episode of Box Office Chat. What did you all think of the results? Were you satisfied, unsatisfied? Comment down below and let me know. If you like this video, hit the like button. If you like this channel, hit the subscribe button. Follow me on all those social media links right there. And until next time, everyone, stay sharp.